We are in Connecticut for the missing mom murder trial against Michelle Troconis, accused of helping her boyfriend murder his estranged wife, Jennifer Dulos, in 2019. Her body has never been found. We've been catching you up on today's testimony. Back on the stand today, DNA analyst Kristen Maydell just finished her cross-exam, which did include references to cake, candy, and chocolate bunnies. And I'm not kidding. So let's go back in now and see how the redirect goes with this witness.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Maydell, yesterday you were asked a series of questions about whether or not the swabbings which were submitted to the Division of Scientific Services were subsequently tested for confirmatory blood. Do you recall those questions?
I do, yes.
Are there certain protocols that the laboratory has with respect to whether or not they're going to be testing for confirmatory blood?
Yes, there's a typical protocol where typically confirmatory testing for blood is done when it's a homicide case. These samples came in as a missing persons case, and a lot of them had the screening test for KM already done. So we don't repeat a test that's already been done by somebody that we do. So that's why we did not perform the KM testing again. And then also, we don't want to come.
I'm going to object because she had testified yesterday this was outside her area, that she just is aware that someone else does it. So for her to be the one to explain it, she's the wrong witness for that. She was limited to DNA.
Well, she's not talking about DNA. She's talking about lab process. And she's been at the lab for 20 years and is a supervisor. So the objection is overruled.
I think I left off that we also don't want to do extra screening testing or confirmatory testing if we have limited samples. So we really want to make sure that we're processing as much of that swab for the actual DNA test and not use some on a confirmatory or a screening test.
And so, as I understand your testimony, when a confirmatory test is done, more of the sample has to be used for that particular test. Is that correct?
Objection leading.
Well, because of the technical nature of the testimony, the court is going to allow some leeway on leading questions because, quite frankly, at times, counsel is making sure through the leading question that he or she understands the technology themselves. Overruled.
You may answer the question.
Yes, so if we were to go do another either KM or confirmatory test, we would have to take a cutting of that swab, which would then reduce the size sample that went to DNA.
Thank you. I have nothing additional.
Just very briefly.
Okay, so the redirect generally is to rehab the witness, to fix some things. Katherine Lizardo is here, Rich Schoenstein here. Katherine, did the rehab work here, or did we get kind of derailed with the court's discussion?
I think we got a bit derailed with the court's discussion, although I like the judge here in terms of he's explaining why he's ruling a certain way with the objections, because I think that helps the jurors figure out what exactly is going on as opposed to just saying objection sustained or overruled. But with the going back to the cross-examination of this DNA analyst, if, like you mentioned during the break, that if they only just, if that defense asked her that there is no DNA found at the scene for the defendant, that would have been enough, because we have to remember the defendant here is the girlfriend of the ex-husband, and the ex-husband died by suicide after he was put on house arrest and put a suicide note saying that he and the girlfriend and anyone else who might be involved or accused are innocent. So the focus here is on the ex-girlfriend.
That's why I really think it would have been nice to reinforce that. Nothing they found ties her to anything they tested. Rich, some of the evidence in this case, was from the house where Jennifer Dulos lived and allegedly disappeared, and nothing in those spatters, or even kitchen products they looked at had anything connecting this defendant to the crimes. That's key.
Yeah, they have a problem with the physical evidence connecting the defendant to their crimes. I mean, they have a lot of problems with this case, to tell you the truth. There's no body, right? So that's a problem. The person who did the murder, most likely, he's dead. So that's a problem. There's no evidence here. And so far, I'm not hearing great physical evidence that connects this defendant to the crime. There's some physical evidence that probably Jennifer Dulos was murdered, but that's
kind of level one.
Right.
I mean, there has to be a murder.
Right.
Okay. Then you have to prove Fotis Dulos did it. Then you have to prove he did it in concert with this defendant.
I think we're going to feel pretty comfortable about level 1 and level 2 by the end of this trial.
All right.
But I don't know about level 3.
Well, here's something that's concerned me, and it has to do with the paper towel issue. Now, we know that the nanny, Ms. Almeida, brought a 12-pack of paper towels up to the kitchen area the night before the disappearance of Jennifer Dulos. When the cops go in, they find one roll in the pantry with a little blood smear on it, and they find a partial roll on the counter. And so I'm thinking, what kind of, I've made messes, you know, I've had accidents. I'm not proud. How many paper towels does it take to clean up a mess like that when you're talking 12 rolls of paper towels? This is one roll. This is one. I'm not even done yet. It's still going. And this is a cheap roll. I know they didn't have cheap rolls of paper towels. They had expensive rolls, I'm telling you. My point is, what kind of mess are you making and cleaning up with this many paper towels? That's all I'm throwing out there. Okay, Richard's going to stick around. In fact, he's got to clean those up. Katherine will be back as well. This is Law and Crime. Stay where you are.